or Karen, and I'm here to talk about hand sewing because I do quite a bit of it. This entire costume here is completely hand sewed from top to bottom, and it was a bit of a stupid thing to do, but you know. Yeah, so sorry. Okay, so I will start cooking just basic stuff. So first thing that you need if you're doing any type of hand sewing is good needles. I use these ones and they're great, and you can get them in different sizes, and so if you're using different just wait.
Cosplay. Sorry, there was another
I said before that cosplay is 90% procrastination, so everybody relates, so it's fine.
It ended at like 11:05.
Oh no, I just need to talk to her. Okay, let's start again. Alright, so I'm Butler Cosplay, I'm Karen, and I'm talking about hand sewing, because I do a lot of it, and this, yep. I want proof. Yeah, show us proof. Show us proof. Okay. Well, this entire cosplay. Working girl. So by me, even the earring is hand sewed onto the earring. So yeah, entirely hand sewed. This is entirely hand sewed. So yeah, I do a lot of hand sewing. So the first thing I've got is tips about needles. I mean, you know, just any type of needles, they're fine. I like these ones. They're different sizes, so different sizes work really well. If you're doing vinyl or stuff, use thicker needles. It's great. If you're sewing stuff like this, the thin needles are best. Another thing that I usually do with each of my threads, because I've got a lot of thread on the go, I generally I'll have a needle per each thread, because it just makes it so much easier, so that when you've run out, you can just leave it in there, and then you can go back and just start a new knot and just go from there. Forgive me if I'm going too fast. I do apologise. So with thread, I usually get the generic stuff from, you know, emporiums and stuff. It's way cheaper in Auckland. It's really sad. It's like $1 in Auckland, and it's still a 50 down in Hamilton. Yes, 50 cents more down there. So I usually use, like, for the coloured stuff, use the different coloured thread, obviously. But I do find that for the stuff that I use mostly, which is the black and the white, I usually get overlocker thread. The reason why I get overlocker thread is because it doesn't make those horrible knots. Because usually when you're sewing something, you'll get like part way, and all of a sudden you'll have a knot in it, and it's just like, oh, no. You can either cut it out or hope for the best and hope pulling it and tugging it will actually get it out. Yeah, I find that overlocker thread doesn't do that quite as much. I've even known some people to use upholstery thread, just because it doesn't knot as much when you're hand sewing. Because I mean, knotting is it's the worst thing ever when you're trying to hand sew a costume. It's like, oh really? Okay, I'm going way too fast. I need more fun. Oh. Alright. So, when you're hand sewing, fiddles are really, 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 really important. The amount of times I have given myself nail piercings on these two nails in particular, because you're just like shoving it through vinyl and it's just like, oh, I'm not going to go through, I'm just going to not do anything. Thimbles are a godsend. I prefer these type. They're the ones that are a ring. So the ring type is much better because you can shove it quite down. I always find that I also put one on here usually, on this finger, because usually when I'm pushing the needle through, I generally get like these big calluses, which is so unattractive. But I get like calluses along here because I will generally nick myself and nick myself and nick myself and hope not to bleed on my cosplay. Yeah, but these ones are fantastic, and sometimes I will use more than one. Like if I'm using one hand and then I'll have another one on here, and it just makes life so much easier, especially when you're sewing vinyl. Yeah, especially when you're sewing vinyl. All right, so the emporium that we have down in Hamilton, there is a fabric lady down there her name is Cheryl. And I am shouting out to Cheryl because she is amazing. Anyway, I went in there once because I was wanting to make clothing. Most of my patterns I usually make from my existing clothing. And I asked her, oh, what sort of thing would you suggest to use for this? And she suggested getting this frost cloth stuff. And it is great. You can buy it from the warehouse. You can get 25 meters by 1 meter for like $12, or you can get 5 meters by 2 meters for $5. I think that was the prices last time I checked anyway. And you can draw on this stuff, you can write on this stuff, you can sew this stuff. It is great. It is really quite tough. It is fantastic to use. So I use it a lot for making pre-existing patterns. Because I generally, like, this is from a dressing gown. This is my kimono yukata fancy pattern right here. So I use that for all my kimono. So yeah. So I've got a few of these on. I'll pass these around. People can have a feel of what this stuff is. But yeah, it is fantastic. So. It was one of the best things I've ever come across for making patterns and stuff. So. Now, when you pin, when you hand sew, it's really important that when you're pinning, that you pin it in really close. Don't be if you're using like 4 pinwheels, that's completely fine, because what you the way because that way you get a nice straight line. Because if you pin it quite separate, then my pins are so crap. You need to buy some new ones. Note yourself. If you pin it too far apart, then it's really hard to get the really straight line. And straight lines are quite hard to sew unless you get really, really straight lines, which works quite nicely. So yeah, just have the pins really, really close together, and when you hand sew, it doesn't matter which way you pin it. You can pin it whichever way you want. Yeah, unlike what I learned with sewing machines, I was like, oh man, so different to hand sewing. I had to completely change how I thought, but yeah. Okay. Alright, so this is a new form of stitching that I'm learning at the moment. Mostly because I'm making a lot of kimono and yukata and stuff like that. And so what this basically is that you stitch it twice. So you stitch it on you pin it on the right side, on the right side of the fabric, and then you sew along there, and then you flip it over, and then you sew along that side, and then you don't need to overlock. Because since I hand sew everything, of course I don't have an overlocker either, I do actually have a sewing machine. It sits next to me while I hand sew everything because I hate my sewing machine. So yeah, so this is the form of stitching that I'm learning at the moment, and I'm using it to make some of my new kimono and yukata ideas. So this, yeah, it's strong hand. I have no idea what this fabric is, so I got it for $3 a meter, so I was like, yes, it's the right colour. So yeah. I actually got that fabric to make this, which I brought up as well, which is a new look that I'm making from a new costume. So. Alright, so because you don't have overlocker, rolled hems are a must, and they are so much easier to do hand sewing than they are on a machine, because there's so many layers on a machine, and if it's anything like my machine just goes, you know, that's not ever going to happen. So basically rolled hems is where you get it there and you just tuck it under and roll it, and then you just sew it along there. This hem was interesting to make because it's entirely asymmetrical, so thank you Salza for having a wonderful costume right here. Yeah, so you basically just roll it and then sew along, and it's really, really, really easier doing it. Well, I find it easier doing it hand sewing than I do it on my machine, because my machine just cries, so yeah. Alright, so vinyl. I do a lot of sewing on vinyl, mostly because, well, I love vinyl. It's fun to use, it's soft, it's really nice to sew. So the one, like, you can get really good detailing, like on this jacket here, I got really nice white lines, and they look really, really quite cool, so kind of match the character and stuff. The main thing with vinyl is, oh my god, use thimbles. So use thimbles with vinyl, because yeah, and like I ripped so many nails. I had like blood and calluses making that jacket. That jacket was yeah, that was fun to make. So yeah, that's how to use vinyl. I mean, yeah. But I won't really pass it around because it's kind of fragile. it's a delicate flower. What can I say? My swords are always delicate flowers. It's over here. You can have a look at it. It's a very delicate sword. I've used a delicate sword. So I think that's basically all the slides that I made, because yeah, I ran out of time. I procrastinated. The other thing that I would recommend, that I'm really starting to do at the moment, is make reference pictures. I have gone in and done prints of all the cosplays that I'm doing, my upcoming cosplays, and what I do is I go into the fabric lady at the emporium that I love, and show them to her, and usually she says, oh my god, you're crazy. So yeah, she's like, when are you making this for? And I'm like, in a month. And she's like, yep, you're nuts. So I print them out and take them in and just show her so that she can see exactly what they look like, and it's great for colour matching as well, because I found that I'd go home after buying some fabrics and I'd be like, yeah, that's not the right colour, shit. So then you have to start over again. It's like, yeah, and fabric's not cheap. So yeah, I found it much easier to just go in there and just show her what it was. And yeah, keynote there, make friends with fabric ladies at emporiums. They are wonderful. The one down in Hamilton is just amazing. She's so good. Alright, so I think I've run out of things to say, and it's probably like 10 minutes, and yeah. Okay. Questions? Evil. Okay.
Would you work with the leather, or is it vinyl that's better?
I think they're kind of the same thing, really. I haven't really worked in leather, but vinyl I work with. I mean, I work with different types of vinyl. So that one there was all different types. There was the soft type that I've got there. There was also the white. The sleeve was quite hard, but I got it for free, so I wasn't going to complain. So yeah, so I was. It was a lot harder to sew. That stuff's really easy to sew. That's really soft. So yeah, that was a lot more fun. The blue of that jacket is the same stuff, and it's so much easier. So it's wonderful. Yes.
Time-wise, like how long would that costume take you to hand sew?
1 month.
1 month? Oh my gosh.
Admittedly, I'm an unemployed bum and I don't do anything, so so that's possibly why it took. Yeah. It took an entire month, and I made the undershirt, the top. Painted the sash, which my cat helped with, and yeah, but it took 1 month because I decided to do it pretty much. Decided to do it in September, and I did it for overload. So yeah.
So then, like, when you look at a costume and you know how much hand sewing you're gonna do you find it therapeutic, or are you like hit against the wall, like no?
I think you need to see my next cosplays. Because yeah, literally I'm looking at these and basically hit against the wall going, man, I'm a nut. This is not the world's best idea, but yeah, I'm in love with this video game, so yeah.
Do you have any particular techniques for, tying the knot in the thread so when it goes through? Because I just do like a normal knot.
I do normal double knots, and I waste heaps of thread.
Okay.
I generally waste heaps of thread because I just basically just grab the. I always double it over because I find it easier. I get really used to how long I can make it before it's going to start knotting. Generally, I go with like about that much. That's generally a good length before it starts knotting and going evil. So even with the overlock of thread, sometimes it'll knot. So generally I just tie it once, tie it again, and then cut off the excess. Waste lots of thread, but I'm just like, yeah, I know, that's why I buy the big ones, so yeah. And generally sometimes I'll just, if I've got like an excess this big, I'll just knot it already and then just stick it into the thread so that if I go back to it, I can just, because 3D needles is honestly the worst part of hand sewing. Like you get so far, and like the other day I was like, I had like about 10 stitches to go and I ran out of thread. I was like, oh, misjudged it again. Yeah, it's all the big judgment thing. Okay. Hi.
So when you're threading your own needles, I know some people will pull the thread, like the needle most of the way across the thread, so you've already picked your length. They'll pull it so that the needle's in the middle so that the strands are double thickness.
Yeah, that's what
some people do single, so I was just wondering which one you do.
I do double. I always do double. I find it so much easier than doing single. I used to do single, but then sometimes it would either break or you'd lose your thread. You pull the needle through too hard and then it was like, oh, now I've got to thread the needle again. Ugh. I hate threading needles, so.
Is that the double thread with the pull through thread, or you're just using a standard? Oh. Do you use a thick thread or the
I use overlocker thread for white and black, but little ones that you get from Emporium, the really cheap stuff. I can't afford the fancy stuff. But I do know some people who used upholstery thread just because it doesn't knot as much. So yeah, you get kind of skilled at trying to tease out those knots sometimes. Sometimes they're a little bit too, you gotta chop it, but oh, you just grab another needle and just thread it through and just do it again. So yeah.
Okay. Hi.
What sort of needles do you use?
I just used, I think Ed actually bought me these. She came home with some of these Sullivan ones. They're really good. It pays to update your needles quite a bit because you need them to be sharp, because otherwise, you know, it's going to make an already hard job even harder. So yeah, use the big ones for you doing vinyl, and the little ones for doing just normal fabric. It makes it so much easier. So yeah. Yes.
I heard like you can put beeswax, you get little beeswax wheels in and you run the thread through them. I've never really tried it, but do you know?
That sounds like fun. No, I don't.
It's commonly used in leather sewing, because on thicker leather you're using really thick linen thread, and trying to, as you pull the needle out the other side, suddenly the thread, the hole closes up and the thread jams in. So if you buy linen thread for leather sewing in New Zealand, it comes pre-waxed already.
Do you use the easy thread needles, and if so, what's your opinion on them?
I've had a look at them, but I'm OCD. I prefer the control of actually like. I mean, that's one of the main reasons why I actually hand sew so much is because I'm OCD. I like the control. I like it. I like to be able to look at it and go, yep, that's a pretty straight line, and yeah. So yeah.
When did you start hand sewing rather than like machine sewing? And why? Why? Why?
I hand sew with my sewing machine sitting right next to me because I never use my sewing machine. It was when I did Grell actually, because I was like, I need to put ribbon on the edge of this coat because I had the coat, and so I was just half-assing it. And yeah, so I was like, well, I will start doing. I did cross stitch when I was a kid, so I knew how to thread needles and pull the needles through. So I just was like, I'll just give it another go, and it just escalated to the point where I make all my costumes by hand sewing. So yeah. Yes.
Any tips for like when you're trying to sew really thick fabric and your like fingers stuck by grip the needle and it just slides as you're like trying to push it through?
Thimbles out there. Thimbles.
Like actually holding onto the needle like with the thimble.
Not with the not holding onto the needle with the thimble. You use the thimble to push it through.
Okay,
So
like
don't
push it
hold
out.
it, because I find that a lot when I'm holding it and I'm sewing through really thick fabric. That's where I get like the major calluses. They're horrible. So you use your thimble, you put it on there, and you shove it through like that, and then you do it the other side. It's really annoying if you've only got one thimble, because then you have to put it on one thing, and then put it on the other one, and so it pays to have two if you're doing it with really thick fabric. That this cloak here, when I was putting the collar on the cloak, I had a very similar situation there because it's quite thick, and there's like three layers of it plus the lining. So I was just alternating and nearly pierced my nail. So I do that all the time. Yes.
Just the pins that you use for pairing.
Yeah.
But can't you use it for their specially thin ones or?
They're just normal ones.
How's it pins a bit? Or I'm just not very.
For doing it with vinyl, or with just well, when you're hand sewing with the pins, it's important to get it in a fairly straight line when you're pinning it. So you need to use quite a few pins and keep them as close together. But I've just used like normal pins. So yeah.
So, do you ever use tack stitches instead of pins?
No, I always use pins. I prefer to use pins. Yeah, it's quite satisfying when you've got a big stack of pins in front of you and you're just like, yes, I've done that. So, yeah.
What do you use to draw on the cross cloth?
Biro. Or you can use Vivid or anything like that. You can keep it forever. It's amazing stuff. This stuff is so good. Yeah, it's like, it's godsend.
The tissue paper, it's like, you touch it gently.
Yeah, like this stuff you can even, if you wanted to, you could sew it. And I was just like, oh, it's the best stuff ever. Thank you so much.
What? Sorry, can you rip it? Like, if you try?
If you try to get me, you probably could. But,
Yeah,
you know, you'd have to put a fair amount of effort in it because they make it it's to go in the garden. So it's to cover plants. It's to cover plants and protect them from frost. So make it. Exactly, that's why it's called frost cloth.
Got it.
So to be in the gardening section at the warehouse, by the way.
The other alternative I've seen to fabric, and a professional showed me this, is you can get rolls of card. So like you go to the warehouse stationery and get rolls of newsprint, or you can get rolls of card, and as a professional that's all she used, and then no folding up of fabric and then having to iron it flat when you come to use it. You just hang up bits of cardboard, basically.
That's kind of what we use at my school, and some other ones they use like plastic and laser cuts.
Oh, that would be so much fun. Oh my gosh, that would be awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, what was that you're using?
At my school we use like cardboard, and then at other schools they use plastic and get it laser cut.
There must be fancy schools if they can afford a laser cutter. Jeez.
I have a general question. How are you walking in those shoes?
Yeah, interestingly. You should see me going downstairs. It take nope, Taobao. Taobao. Yep. Yes.
Where did you get the tassels, and do you customize them?
These tassels are all hand sewn down the back. They're actually fringe.
Oh.
So I had to make them this long because they're all long. And so I was like, I'm never ever going to be able to find tassels that long. It's ridiculous. I could find tassels this long. That was easy. So that's the perfect length for this one. But for these ones, I had to bundle it up and just hand stitch in the back and just And I also did that for the little ones as well. So the little ones are all like that. And I also I just sewed on the inside of that just to hold the knots together. So yeah. Yes.
Has there been a point where you decided actually I should use that sewing machine?
That would be probably Hamilton Armageddon this year. Yeah, that was a big epic fail right there. But yeah. Although I did try the sewing machine. It was 3 AM in the morning, and I did try the sewing machine. But the material that I was using, it was a kimono that I was making, and it had been painted. So the bottom wasn't painted and it was lined, so it had to be folded over and rolled and everything. Yeah, my sewing machine was like, yeah. So it was 3 AM and I was like, get out the needle and thread. And I got 90% of the kimono done by the next morning.
Oh, boy.
Yep.
You're pretty fast.
I am pretty fast now. Yeah. I've gotten, I'm not, it's still not a fast process. You start it and you look at the end of it and you're just like, I want to be at the end already. But yeah.